It's been a while since we've done a concrete theory on the channel, so today I wanted to focus on a theory for the rise of Skywalker that may explain Palpatine's return and perhaps his eventual resurrection in Star Wars Episode 9. As always, this is just a theory, so take it as that. Nonetheless, I do think that this would be extremely interesting if it does actually play out in the rise of Skywalker. So without further ado, let's go ahead and explain and break down why Order 66 may have actually been part of Palpatine's plan to resurrect himself, as perhaps Palpatine viewed his death as an eventuality, and prepared for it just like anything else. The theory poses that Palpatine's ultimate goal in Return of the Jedi, as well as earlier, was to siphon the power from two exceptionally powerful beings in the Star Wars universe. One being that represented the light side of the Force and its good aspects, and the other that represents the dark, and the more rage-fueled nature of the Force. The theory posed that Darth Sidious actually wants to become more of a Force entity and a Force god than a Force wielder, and that Sidious has actually been studying the beings that have achieved this before him in the Star Wars mythos, the beings known as the ones being most clearly highlighted in Star Wars The Clone Wars as well as Star Wars Rebels, with there being a father, a son, and the daughter, with the father representing the balance between the two of them, the daughter the light, and the son the dark. There is even a theory in The Last Jedi that Rey subconsciously represents the hand signals that are outside of the Jedi Temple, the Jedi Temple that we encounter in Star Wars Rebels that leads to the world between worlds, a place in the Star Wars mythos where one Force wielder can actually access various timelines, and perhaps even manipulate them, something that we know Darth Sidious actually was aware of but did not have full access to, as Darth Sidious does actually appear in that episode using Force alchemy and attempts to stop Ezra as well as Ahsoka. Anyway, the theory poses that Darth Sidious actually wants to become a being like the Father and a Force entity, but in order to do this, he needs to connect one being of the light side of the Force and one being of the dark side of the Force, creating a dyad and ultimately siphoning their energy from them. But in order to do this, there needs to be only one prominent light side wielder and one prominent dark side wielder. There cannot be others that are diluting the pool of power that Palpatine ultimately desires to draw from, offering Kylo Ren power in the rise of Skywalker, and Rey comes to confront him, but ultimately it's a trap for both parties, as Palpatine uses an ancient ritual to try to steal the power from both of them, creating an immortal entity. But what does all of this have to do with Order 66? Well, in order for an entity of the light side of the Force to rise, the other Jedi and light side wielders need to be exterminated. Therefore, beyond Order 66 being revenge on behalf of Palpatine against the Jedi, he wanted to eliminate all of these light side wielders, until ultimately one light side wielder arose to oppose Darth Vader, at which point Darth Sidious would siphon the power from both of these beings, something that many are theorizing now was his ultimate goal in Return of the Jedi. However, he was betrayed by Darth Vader before the process could begin. This also goes away to explain more in depth the Sith Rule of Two, as quite interesting, in the main Star Wars timeline, Darth Sidious is the only one Master and Dark Lord of the Sith that we've ever seen alive. The rest have been pawns and apprentices to some extent, thus leading deeper into the theory that the Rule of Two has greater significance than originally posed to us, and that a Sith Master desires to train one dark side apprentice to become as powerful as possible so that their light side in the Force eventually rises to oppose them, that being Rey to Kylo Ren, as Snoke explained in The Last Jedi, at which point they can actually siphon the power from both their apprentice and this light side wielder, becoming again an entity of balance and the light and the dark, and perhaps maybe unkillable. This would again explain why in The Rise of Skywalker, Palpatine has finally emerged, willing to reveal himself to Kylo Ren and Rey, as both of their respective masters have perished, those being Snoke and Luke Skywalker, therefore creating one being aligned with the light side of the Force in Rey and one being aligned with the dark side of the Force in Kylo Ren, completing the dyad one more time, just as Palpatine was so close to achieving in Return of the Jedi with Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. Apparently in a leak for The Rise of Skywalker, Palpatine does actually refer to Kylo Ren and Rey as a Force dyad, again a balance of the light and the dark side of the Force, with Rey's power rising to match Kylo Ren after Kylo destroyed Luke's Jedi Academy. It may actually be true that it's never Palpatine's goal to kill either Rey or Kylo Ren, simply to become the father of this new trinity, with again Rey as the daughter and Kylo Ren as the son. But again, this is all just theory and conjecture, but nonetheless is one of my favorite theories for The Rise of Skywalker, and harkens back back all the way to the Clone Wars, which apparently some of the filmmakers drew major inspiration from for this new trilogy. I like the idea that it also harkens back to Snoke and explains away both Kylo and Rey's power, that together they make a Force dyad, and it's Emperor Palpatine's ultimate goal to expose and exploit that dyad, becoming the Father and therefore becoming immortal. Again, the big question still remains though, how has Palpatine been around for so long? And what exactly occurred in Return of the Jedi that caused him to go away for so long if he didn't die? Or my preferred way, if he did in fact die, how has he clung to this physical realm? Anyway, my friends, I would love to hear your thoughts on this theory, the Force dyad theory, and the idea of Palpatine's ultimate plan, and how it may have even connected all the way back to Order 66 and Revenge of the Sith, and Palpatine's ultimate goal with both Vader and Luke Skywalker, and why when Darth Vader ultimately became injured by Obi-Wan Kenobi, Palpatine was so infuriated with his apprentice, not because the prospect of the ultimate Force wielder was no longer a reality, but that his plan had now been delayed a great deal. One could even say that this was also why the Force dyad could not be completed in Return of the Jedi, because Darth Vader, again due to his injuries, was not potential-wise the equal of Luke. But now finally, for many years, many decades, Palpatine has waited and another dyad has revealed itself. I want to hear your thoughts on all of this in the comments down below. If you guys enjoyed this theory on the rise of Skywalker and want to see more, be sure to leave a like, as that's the best way to tell me. Thank you guys as always so much for watching. May the Force be with you, and have a great day.